There are, you've heard of Ancestry.com. Another one is Fold 3. And this is, it's also on that list.
Oh, it's on the list?
Yeah. And this last one. Now, this is a paid site, so we can't do much with it, but it has the ability to do 7 days of free searching. What we're going to do is William Smith and Remington, Pennsylvania. No, I don't like to, just in the off chance that he may have had a different, may have served in a different unit at some point.
When they left from Pittsburgh, did they walk all the way here, or did they transport?
Of course, between the time, what is their enlistment? They started in 61, so if you go back to that regimental history, you'll see they travel all over the place. They were most likely with the Army of the Potomac for the whole war, and most of the war, that's the Army that was here. That means they would have traveled down to Richmond area.
All on foot?
No, they would have been by train, by boat,
Okay.
but much of it is on foot.
Was this the first war that they were ever used train?
This is the first U.S. war where trains were used, yes.
Revolutionary
Yeah,
War.
there were no trains in the Revolutionary War.
Okay, so this
So this is the first war, and it's arguably, it's always used as an arguing point that this is the first modern war in the world, but not really.
Okay.
But the Franco-Prussian War also used railroads. The Crimean War, which is in the 1850s, used railroads and ships and a number of things. So Crimean War came after. Not the Crimean, the Franco-Prussian War came after the Civil War, but we also have balloons and all kinds of that. But yes, that is a big factor in the movement of armies, both north and south. During the war, the northern railroads worked a little better, or somewhat better. What we're looking for is the 62nd.
Yes, we had the whole exhibit on trains.
Well, let's see if we can find it in here. See, because of this multiple, there's not in the 62nd. Okay, that doesn't mean anything.
But it's not in order.
No, these are only the ones, these are the results. In other words, I got 20 Smiths, William Smiths in the 20th. They've got, okay.
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying, it's not in order, you're right. That's, I noticed that before. I'll start at the top again. You are, two of you. Never noticed that before. Because I don't think I ever looked at so many, so many names. But let's see, there you go. Okay, again, he's listed only as William, so let's take a look. Now, what you're going to see is the form that is the summary of his pension activity. And this is all you're going to see from here. But I can interpret for you.
Okay.
And if you were to sign up for the 7-day trial, you'd see this in normal size. But what you have is his name, you have his unit, his rank. You see that says corporal.
Okay.
What you have here is 2 sets of columns. This first line here says invalid, that says widow, that says mother. These are the application numbers. So what you have is an application for him, the invalid, and an application for the widow.
Okay.
The second set of columns is the confirmation he was given a pension. This is the actual pension number for both him and his wife, or his widow. So what you've got is files for him, and even if he didn't get a pension, the fact that he's filed an application would have information in it as well. Down here at the bottom is generally his death date and some additional clerical information. These dates over here are his filing dates, filing dates. Now, the usefulness of this is that you can apply to the archives for a reasonable amount of money to get a copy of these files. My suggestion is you'll be given an opportunity to choose something that basically says selected pages or get the whole file. You pay a few extra bucks but get the whole file. And I believe you also have the option now of getting a digital version. So that makes it that much easier and more useful because you can blow these things up and really get some. Usually this stuff is readable. And the thing is, he has to prove that he's in the unit. She has to prove she's married to him, and all that information is very useful to you. And then, of course, in his case, he has to prove that whatever happened to him, his disability is related to the war, and it can be anything. It can be related to sickness, illness, injury, as well as wounds. And of course, illness was the big factor in the war. And then what happens is after he's been given his pension, they'll raise the pensions every once in a while. And what happens, of course, is the politicians recognize that this is a very... Well, no, well, that is true because the pensioners do say, where's, we need more money and so on. And it's a pittance, even for back then. But of course, when you have so many men who are doing manual labor, if they can't do, so if they can't lift logs, if they can't swing an axe, then, if they can't clear a field, and for many of them, then they're out of work. But what's also happening is they become a political force. There are these veteran organizations, the GAR, Grand Army of the Republic, who organize them. They become a very big voice. They become a very big factor in elections. And politicians, of course, recognize that, and they will ultimately give way. Now, ultimately, in the 1890s, I believe it is, the pension plans get a little more flexible, and they begin to give out a little more money to some of the soldiers who may not have gotten one earlier. So you'll see a big flurry of additional applications in the 1890s. So these may very well have dates in the 1890s. This looks like 1897, but it's, see, of course, that looks like 1928. Well, anyway. So you can go on and sign up for a 7-day free trial and get this. And when you get that 7-day trial, what you will do is you can go right to this as you want. But let's let this reload. What you can do is
worse, he's going to be a Confederate.
like this. Okay, let's go back another step. You see in this list not only a database for pensions, but for rosters and other information. See, here's military service, for instance. And you can do military service, and you're going to get a different set of database, a different set of files, which will have information about, a little more detail about when he enlisted, where he was from, when he enlisted. You may also get, this is the day-to-day paper or the monthly paperwork that generally goes with an army. Everything is clerical. They got to keep track of who they are, where they are, and of course when they get paid. So all that information existed. It doesn't all exist now, but you'll get some of this information, and you will see, especially if he's sick, he might be detached to a hospital, and they'll mention where the hospital is. And then of course, it may even end up being a national park today. Some of these are national parks, and you can even go to them or contact them, and they may even have records. There's one particular soldier I remember who was sick and ended up staying there as a veteran invalid, I think it was.